Hey everybody, what is going on? Hexlex here. I got another Master Duel video for you. So, we are coming back to Tearlaments, and I believe this should actually be our final deck profile for Season 28. Tearlaments is a deck I've been meaning to come back to more often than I have been because it's actually been quite popular on both Ranked Ladder and in tournaments lately, and it's definitely not hard to see why. Not only is Tearlament already a very good deck, but it plays a lot of cards that leave it very well positioned in the current metagame. Most notable among those are going to be the Ishizu Shufflers, Keldo, and Budora. Very useful for putting back some of the cards that Snake Eye is trying to set up from the graveyard, right? Not only that, but also this is a deck that can very, very easily slot in Super Polymerization. Not only is Tearlament, of course, already a fusion-based deck, but they definitely have the room in the extra deck. The thing about the Tearlaments that actually not a lot of people talk about is that, or at least in my experience, is that the extra deck is kind of super wide open. The only cards I think you really have to play in a tier extra deck are Kikalos, Dragosepelia, Rolkalos, Kaleidoheart. I would honestly throw a Dragon in there too, even if you're not already on Super Poly. Time Thief Redoer, that's 6. Maybe Baron de Fleur, especially for On Destrudo, that's like 7. So like 6 to 7 cards in the extra deck that I would say are needed, which compared to a lot of other meta decks is not really that many cards at all. This leaves the Tearlament extra deck very flexible. That's also why you see so many different ways, like so many different builds of Tear, right? There's so many different ways that you can play it. The build that I'm on is more of a Synchro-based build. I mean, duh, of course, it's me. But on top of that, I don't own El Shadal Winda, so I decided a pure build wouldn't be the best route for me without crafting one. But I do already own Revolution Synchrons, and Revolution Synchron, I've talked about this in the past, but it actually does quite a bit for Tearlament, even if you're not like a super Synchro-focused build. In the past, when I have shown this deck off in the channel, it has been a super focused Synchro build, but you definitely don't need to play that style of deck in order to make use of Revolution Synchron. The main thing that Revolution Synchron offers, besides just easier access to Synchros in general, although again we do already get that with the Destrudo, which tends to be played in a lot more builds than the Rev Synchron. The main thing you get here, though, is access to Vyz's Ombre Terra. So basically, if you have the Rev Synchron in hand, plus any one of your level 4 monsters just out on the field, right? What you can do is Rev Synchron will allow you to Synchro Summon for the Ancient Fairy Dragon, just using the Rev Synchron as a material from your hand. From there, you can use Revolution Synchron's effect to bring itself back as a level 1 monster, milling the top card of your deck, which very occasionally could be a very, very good hit as well. But then you'll have the Ancient Fairy Dragon already out, as well as the level 1 Revolution Synchron, and that will allow you to Synchro Summon for Vyz's Ombre Terra. Material requirements for this card being 1 or more tutors, plus 1 light monster. Here is your tuner, and here is your light monster. So the Vyz's Ombre Terra can add any spell or trap card that mentions Vyz's Starfrost from your deck to your hand, which is actually a lot in this deck. Most notable is probably going to be Perla Rhino for searching, but you could also add Tearlament's Grief if you've already used your normal summon, right? And then that way you can just straight up send a Tearlament's monster directly, a Fuser more likely, directly to the graveyard and then go off with plays there. You could also add Scream, you could add Heartbeat, you could add pretty much any of the Tearlament spell or trap cards all mention the Vyz's Starfrost. So the Ombre Terra has a lot. It has a lot of stuff that it can get. So very, very good for that. Let's see here. We are also rocking in the way of Synchro's Shooting Riser. Shooting Riser, Baron, and Pep, from what I can tell, Pep being Psychic and Punisher, tend to be very commonly played even in builds that don't play Rev Synchron, because a lot of Tearlament builds are again going to be on the Destrudo, right? But with the Rev Synchron, I did include a couple of others. The Ombre Terra, of course, is mentioned. The Ancient Fairy Dragon also is mentioned. I also included Black Rose Dragon because I think having access to a board wipe via the Revolution Synchron is pretty important, but it didn't really end up coming up too much, honestly. Like I said, we are on the Super Polymerization, so Mudragon, I think even without Super Poly, is worth playing because it's not hard to summon this with the Tearlament Fusers, and it can offer the target protection that's very useful sometimes. But for other Super Poly targets, we have, of course, Garura Wings of Restorant Life, but also the Earth Golem at Ignister. So the main deck that I'm actually looking to use this card, to play Super Poly and then use this, summon this rather, is going to actually be Snake Eye. 1 Cyberse monster plus 1 Link monster. You might think, like, does Snake Eye really have that? Yes, actually. IP Masquerena plus Ambler Whale. That's what you're going to end up fusing together in order to make the Earth Golem. And that will leave your opponent with only the Flamberge up, and not really a way to proc the Flamberge except for the Promethean Princess, of course. But we have lots of ways of taking care of that. We have not only the Ashiza Shufflers, but of course Called by the Grave as well. So, of course, there are other decks where you can potentially summon the Earth Golem ad Ignister. Of course, the, what is it? Mathmech, how can I forget? Mathmech is going to be a big one, but any deck that ends on IP will probably end up meeting the requirements for Earth Golem ad Ignister. And IP, you may have heard of it, it's a pretty popular card. So, Link Karibo is another potential Cyberse monster that can be on the field for Snake Eye, and a number of other decks as well. Let's see. I have a Trivikarma. I don't think I actually had this the last couple of times I covered Tier. I think I used to own a copy and then disenchanted it for some reason, so I did make another copy. And, yeah, I mean, obviously it's pretty useful, just another way to get your Vysis spell and trap cards. Again, of which there are actually quite a few, but most often Pearl Rhino and also occasionally Grief are going to be what you add. Or, where is it? Solic, too, is a pretty frequent search for me. Off of adding Vysis spell and trap cards as well. I think that's pretty much everything I have to say about this build here. Let's go ahead and break it down card by card. Oh, you know what? There is actually one other thing I want to say. That is that, I had it for... Oh yeah, no, it's that we played these games on live stream. So, every now and then on stream, I will open up for viewer duels. So if you're ever interested in hanging out with us and also potentially playing against me in a stream, definitely go ahead and check out the description below. You'll find a link over to my Twitch, twitch.tv/HexLexLive. I also post my stream schedule weekly on Twitter as well. I did take the last couple of months off from streaming to focus on the Challenger Cups, but we are back in full swing. So, again, if you want to hang out and join us live, go ahead and check out the description for the link to follow or sub over on Twitch. Alright, let's break this list down card by card, and then we'll see some games against viewers. So, we're playing 3 Maxi, 3 Ash Blossom and Joyous Spring, 1 Tearlaments Havness, 2 Revolution Synchron, 1 Perform Mage Trick Clown, 1 Fairy Tale Snow, 2 Tearlaments Chiron, 3 Tearlaments Rhino Heart, 1 Keldo the Sacred Protector, 1 Mudora the Sword Oracle, 1 Destrudo the Lost Dragon's Fission, 1 Kashira Fenrir, 1 Tearlaments Kashira, 1 Foolish Burial, 1 Reinforcement of the Army, 1 Foolish Burial Goods, 1 Tearlaments Grief, 1 Primeval Planet Pearl Rhino, 1 Pressured Planet Raitsoth, 3 Tearlaments Scream, 3 Super Polymerization, 2 Call by the Grave, 1 Tearlaments Heartbeat, 1 Tearlaments Meta Noise, 1 Trivikarma, 1 Tearlaments Crime, and then 1 Tearlaments Solic. And that'll be it for our main deck. Now for the extra deck, we are on 1 Mud Dragon of the Swamp, 1 Tearlaments Get Close, 1 Garura Wings of Restored Life, 1 Earth Golem at Ignister, 1 Predaplant Dragostapelia, 1 Tearlaments Volcalos, 1 Tearlaments Kaleido Heart, 1 Black Rose Dragon, 1 Ancient Fairy Dragon, 1 Shooting Riser Dragon, 1 Vysis Amritura, 1 Baron de Fleur, 1 Psychic End Punisher, 1 Time Thief Redoer, and then 1 number 60 Dugaris the Timeless. That'll do it for our deck list. Let's see some games now. Okay, so our first duel is going to be up against Dinos, piloted by Skeety. We got a lot of pretty lengthy duels on this one. A lot of very, 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 actually, let's think of some later, back and forth games. But this one is, of course, too. So, alright, we're going second against Dinos here. Again, these were duels against viewers in a duel room, which is why we're able to see their hands here. We're going to lead with the Prosperity, revealing Giant Rex, Maxi, Oviraptor, Imperm, Fossil Dig, and Arminoid, the Crocodile. the gem-looking crocodile. Oviraptor for Misk is going to happen here. I'm going to throw out the Maxi, but there is an Ash Blossom coming down here. I really should have waited for the Misk second effect, the Miscellaneousaurus, that is. There's really no reason to do it now, the Maxi, that is, but this is fine. So, one thing that I do notice is a notable lack of babies between the baby Ceratosaurus and the Pteranodon. Usually the dinos need one of those babies to start popping in order to get a large amount of plays going, but no access to a baby here. So we're going to end up going the Xenometeorus and Frostosaurus into Evilzar Lars. And then, of course, the double evolution pill that was added earlier is going to summon out the Ultimate Conductor Tyranno. But that's going to be it. So just Lars and UCT is all we're really going to have to play through here. Hands looking pretty good too. I'm going to lead with the Tearlaments Rhino Heart to try to get some stuff going. They're going to chain the Maxi, so not the best for me here. But we definitely are going to make some amount of plays. I'm not going to stop in this scenario just because Maxi is up. Sometimes I will stop under Maxi even if I have the attack, but I know if I just pass back on an empty board here, I'm just going to lose anyway. So Kikalos trying to activate Lars is going to end up negating that. I'm going to chain the Super Poly though. That way I can fuse Kikalos with the Overraptor, and then Kikalos effect should still resolve, I believe. Because I think Lars has to negate an effect that is specifically on the field. We'll see. I actually don't remember. Yeah, it resolves. So I can mill the Shiren. Shiren F, I'm going to fuse that with the Kikalos. Of course, I'll also get the Kikalos F to send 5 here. Sending... the Rhino Heart is like not the worst, I guess, but... Moreover, like I said, we sent that Fuser, and now we can go for the Kaleido Heart. Actually, Rhino Heart doesn't really do a lot here because we've already used both Fusers, so summoning it isn't like really the best here. Lars will end up negating the Kaleido Heart as well, but I'm going to Dragostapelia the Lars. That way I can get rid of the UCT, the Ultimate Conductor Tyranno here. They are going to, however, be able to flip my stuff down, so there is that. Adding the Soliac here, Kaleido Heart, yep, is going to put back the Ultimate Conductor Tyranno. Foolish Burial. I decided to send Rhino Heart here in order, because I have the Soliac now. Oh, we said the Grief instead. Oh, that's right. I was going to, oh, I didn't mean to hit fast forward. Sorry about that. I was going to high roll and send Soliac, but I actually got convinced by chat to make the safe play and just send the Grief, set Soliac instead. That way I had some amount of disruption for Skady's turn. Which I think definitely was the better call. Especially under Maxi, I don't think gambling was too good of an idea here. Okay, Fossil Dig coming down. That's going to end up adding another Michelinosaurus. They're going to activate that, and we're going to definitely Mudora in response. That way we are basically keeping the Misk out of the graveyard so it can't use the graveyard effect, and also keeping materials out of the graveyard for the double evolution pill, right? So Soliac does get to send the Kaleido here, but unfortunately for me, they have the call by, so Kaleido's going to end up getting negated. Lars can battle over Dragostapelia, or not Dragostapelia, but the Rhino Heart, and we still have the Dragostapelia in play, so that's pretty good for us. Super Poly is kind of a meh draw. Like I said, we're just going to battle Dragostapelia over the Lars. I'm not going to bother setting Super Poly here, just in case like a Harpy's Venetus or something comes down. Although I don't think they'd really want to Duster my Soliac anyway. Just give me more plays. Okay, Tier Cash. We do actually end up being able to summon that by banishing the Grief. We can then use Tier Cash to mill 3. We had to perform a Trick Clown as well as the Crime and the Caldo. So that was actually a phenomenal mill 3 right there. Crime, I'm going to wheel the banished Rhino Heart back to my hand. Trick Clown, I'm going to summon, but I probably just won't end up needing. Normally the Rhino Heart milling the Havness. Havness F going to activate here. Alright, and this will be for the Kikalos, yep. Kikalos F, I'm going to send the Shiren. Shiren F activating, going to fuse with the Rolkalos, or with the Kikalos rather, to make Rolkalos. Now, funnily enough, this will be enough summons for Nibiru, but my 5th summon was actually the Rolkalos, which ended up being pretty good for me, although it does mean that we will not be able to OTK this turn. Oh no, we can, because we just sent a Soliac here, that's right. And then from here, this is, I think, exactly 8k even on top of that, so... Granted, Skady was at 7,800, so it didn't really need to be 8k, but nice that we got it all the same. Okay, so there is our first game against Dinos. GG's Skady. Let's go ahead and see our next duel. Alright, next game is going to be against Alnic. Alnic is on Runic Generator, which definitely got a pretty huge boost from the newest Runic fusion, which does in fact have a level of 9. Tends to be pretty good for that deck. We're going second again. I lost a lot of coin flips against the against you all here, but you know, it's like I've said a million times on stream. Oh, it's actually invoked Runic Generator. I forgot about that part. But like I've said before, you know, if I'm going to end up losing coin flips or have bad hands or whatever, I would definitely rather it be against you all than against randos on ladder, or even worse in a tournament. But so Rev Synchron actually coming in clutch here for Alnic as I get to go into Ancient Fairy, swapping out the field spell for Generator Boss Sage. We're going to definitely max C in response to the Revolution Synchron effect here. As our hand is not looking super great, we don't have any amount of gas in it at all, so... Alright, we do have the Heartbeat for the Boss Stage, so at least we can answer that during the draw phase. But this Crystal Wing, that's going to be a little dicey, and Trick Clown doesn't exactly do it. Also, because we did draw off a Maxi, they do get summoned the Har off of the Boss Stage, so... Setting a couple World Legacy monstrosities before passing back over to us. Definitely going to use the Tier Heartbeat here against the Boss Stage. World Legacy monstrosity is getting chained. That's going to have to be fine. Oh, actually, no, it doesn't have to be fine because I have Ash Blossom, so never mind. Oh, wait, no, it doesn't. That's right. I was like, this didn't resolve. It's because they get to Crystal Wing the Ash Blossom now. That's right. But if nothing else, at least Crystal Wing is out of the way for this turn. But as you can see, there is going to be quite a bit of an uphill battle moving forward, as we are going to have to deal with Utgarda and Vala. Vala also summoning out another generator body here. The Lopter, there it is. Alright, so Trick Clown is going to come back. Standby in main. Going to lead with the Tearlaments Grief here. Opponent's going to chain Lopter, sacking the Vala. Or rather, Alnic, because we know our opponent's here. Yeah, it's too bad. If Lopter sacked itself, I could have chained Callby, but we'll have an opportunity to do that a little bit later here. So, I'm going to use Grief to send the Havness, fuse it with the Tier Cash that's already in my hand for the Kiklos. Of course, we're going to end up grabbing that Tier Cash right back here in a moment with the Kiklos, or milling it, rather. That way we get to mill a couple of more. Triva Karma, I get to activate that to add the Pearl the Rhino from deck to hand. Because I don't think I've actually normal summoned. I have not yet. So, if we need to, we could potentially Rhino for Pearl the Rhino for Rhino Heart, and then go do more fusing from there. So, Utgarda is going to end up banishing the Kiklos here, so I'm not going to get the mill 5, we will mill 3 more with the Tier Cash. Scream is going to proc to add the Soliac, now I get to Pearl the Rhino. Opponent again, Alnic is going to try to use Har, but this time I have a means of outing it with Callby, so the Har would normally be a pretty brutal Omni negate here, but like I said, we can just use Callby, since the Har sacrificed itself, or attributed itself for its own effect. End up in the graveyard, so we can negate it this way. Rhino off the Rhino. Again, we haven't used our normal yet, nor have I used the Shiren. Oh, I did use the Shiren, that's right. Ooh, that's right. Wow, I forgot about that both in the game and also here during the replay as well. Wow. It's so easy to lose track of that, though, with this deck. You really do got to keep on top of what exactly is being activated. So, going to Soliac, negating the Alistair here. Crystal Wing is going to negate my Tier Cash, and in typical Invoked fashion, did not matter that we negated the Alistair because Alnic has Invocation anyway. Don't they always, but yeah, they're going to go for the Macabre. That's fine because nothing is in hand. Of course, Alistair is going to add itself back to hand, or rather, Invocation will add the Alistair to hand, but alright, so we're going to have a Rhino Heart battled over. Honestly, things not looking super great for me at this point during the duel, right? The Macabre and Crystal Wing both threaten monster negates here, and this Callby is not exactly the best top deck in the world. What I am going to do, though, is I'm going to use Keldo to shuffle back my Rhino Heart. This will allow me to proc the Pearl Rhino effect and then pop the Crystal Wing. So that ensures that I, at the very least, don't die right now, right? So I'm not going straight to battle phase. Once again, I'm actually going to use Inishizu Shuffler to put back one of my Tearlaments cards. Macabre is going to end up negating this, so that way the Pearl Rhino doesn't end up destroying the Macabre. But we did get the Alistair out of the hand, so I'm thinking, okay, maybe I don't have to worry about a monster negate, but no, we're going to, or they're going to rather, tuning for the Rev Synchron to keep a monster negate in hand with the Macabre. Alright, we did get a Rhoda here, so that is actually really all I end up needing to top deck here. Because what I can do here is normal summon Rhino Heart, right? Macabre is going to activate to try and negate it, but then I can just use Soliac to dodge the Macabre negate. Well, really, I'm negating Macabre in response to Macabre trying to negate my thing. Alright, Rhino Heart gets to send the Havness. Havness will proc. fusing itself with the Shiren and Reinhardt in my yard. Remember that Kiklos is banished, so we can't go for her anymore, but we can definitely still make Kaleidoheart here. Kaleidoheart F is going to put back the back row, and then I'll use the Pearl the Rhino to pop the Makaba. The reason I did it that way is that I didn't know what the face down card was, so I was worried that it might end up being something that has a beneficial effect when being destroyed or just being in the graveyard, right? So decided not to take my chances there. Normal summon Alistar is going to happen here, but rather than Slick, I'm actually just going to use Called By, banishing one of the Alistars in the graveyard, which will in turn end up negating the Alistar that's currently on the field and trying to resolve right now. Alright, that's all from Alnick here. We're going to go to our next turn, drawing for turn, getting a Maxi. I'm just going to hang on to that and battle over Alistar with the Kaleidoheart here. She's still sitting at 1,000 life points, but Alnick is in top deck mode, and we're looking pretty solid overall. Alnick setting a Max C. It's a bit of an oof before passing back over to us. Getting a Tearlaments Scream here. I decided not to take any chances. I just battled with the Kaleidoheart. At only 1,000 life points, I can't be risking normally Maxi and battling into a face-down monster. It would be so easy for that monster to have 1,500 or more defense, and then for me to just end up losing. So we got really lucky. Alnick ended up not drawing too much in the way of, like, gas at all, so Kaleidoheart beatdown ended up managing to get us there. And boom, there it is. So yeah, 12-turn game. 12-turn games with Tearlaments are not something that happens terribly often, but you know, it was going to be a good duel when it goes on that long, and it was indeed a very good game. GG's, Alnick. I got a couple more to see. Let's check those out here. Okay, so next game is going to come to us from Abe Mania. Abe is on Unchained here. And Abe's actually going to show off a line that some other people in chat recognize, but I had not seen this combo line before from Unchained. So, yet again, going second. Did open the Super Poly. Unfortunately, Super Poly tends not to be that great against Unchained because, although everything is a fiend, they do end up with a lot of different attributes. Okay, so Sharvara popping the escapes for the Shyama. Now Sharvara and Shyama are going to end up getting linked off here for the Yama. Yama F to search. Of course, they're also going to use Sharvara to set on top of that. Sharvara will set the other trap card, the Abominable Chamber, and then Yama is going to end up adding the Abominable Unchained Soul. So Shyama's going to pop the face down here to summon itself. That'll allow them to put in Aruha as well. Alright, here's Unchained Soul of Rage. Now what's going to happen is Unchained Soul of Rage and Yama are actually going to get linked off together to go for a 2-material Appaloosa. It might seem a little weird to go for a 2-mat Appo in the middle of a combo line like this, but what might seem weird to make a 2-mat Appo in general, because it's like, oh, isn't the Appaloosa so weak that it'll just get run over before you can use it anyway? And sometimes that'll happen, but it's actually pretty rare. Usually you'll be able to get at least one Appaloosa off before your opponent tries to battle over it. Like, even, let's say you're up against Rescue Ace, they normal summon Airlifter, which has more than 1,600 attack, that's 1,700, but you'll still get to Appaloosa and negate the Airlifter search, right? So, you do definitely end up getting that use out of it. Okay, so here is the Wave, the High King Wave Caesar, Wave High King Caesar. So yeah, adding an Appaloosa to the end board here for Unchained is pretty darn good, especially again when the Super Poly ends up doing nothing here because there are 4 different attributes in play: Water, Wind, Dark, and Fire. And all my Super Poly targets need at least one, what is it? At least one, what is it? Or there are 2 monsters that share the same attributes. So, yeah, this wasn't too much of a game, honestly, from my end, just because I did not have much gas going into this board state, right? Indeed, the Foolish Barrel for Rhino trying to activate and Caesar negating it is going to be enough here. And looking at my opening hand, again, we just did not end up having the tools. But even though this was a very short game, I still wanted to show this duel because I hadn't seen this particular combo line from Unchained. But again, some people in chat recognized it, so I just wanted to make sure that anyone who might not have seen it got a chance to see it there. Also because, you know, Abe played very well in setting up that board on turn 1. So GG's, Abe, GG's. Got one more duel to show off. Let's go into it. Okay, our final game is against Otaku in a Box, who is very much after my own heart with the deck they're playing. They're playing a 60-card zombie deck, but not just any zombie deck. A certain Skelly Boy! There they are, there he is, making an appearance here. Skull Servant. I love Skull Servant. Such a fun deck. I don't think I've played it since Grass went to 1, which I might have to change at some point soon. If you're interested in that, definitely don't be afraid to let me know. I know I had a lot of fun making the last Skull Servant deck profile, but we do actually get to go first here, so I'm going to lead with the Kikalos into the tier cache to get our mill 10 established here. Also opened with the Rev Synchron as well as the Strudo, so synchro plays are a definite probability here. The Trick Clown is definitely going to assist with that. We are also going to proc our Rhino Heart as well. Trick Clown's going to summon itself. Rhino Heart will send the Shiren in hand to summon itself as well. Shiren F to fuse yet again here. We're going to go for the Tearlaments Rolkalos. Rev Synchron is going to sync from hand with the Trick Clown. That will allow me to summon out Ancient Fairy Dragon. One thing I could have potentially done is actually summoned out the Ash Blossom with Ancient Fairy Dragon's effect, but I ultimately opted not to. I could have, like, potentially gone for, like, another level 7, like, Shooting Riser Dragon, but I just didn't think it was high impact enough to be worth it. So here I'm going to Omri Terror for the Solic. That way I can go ahead and have that as well as the Crime set up. Going to use Destrudo and sync that with the Rhino Heart to... Actually, I will make Shooting Riser with this. Now Shooting Riser is going to send the Mudora, and now I can sync the now level 3 Shooting Riser with the level 7 tier cache that was already on the board for the Baron Diffler. Granted, there was also an argument to keep that in play for the Solic / Crime, but, you know, I figured I'd just go for the Omni here. Shiren coming down, milling 3, as well as Ghost Sleeper being activated here for the Ghost Fusion. Yozuki is going to end up sending the White Baking, and you might call me no fun for this, but I am going to Ash Blossom the White Baking, because I know this deck well enough to know that White Baking is an insane card! Absolute insanity! I do not want that to resolve. Not at all, not at all. So, Minerva getting made next here, the rank 4 to mill 3. They do end up milling Gozuki, as well as Havnus and Archlord Christia there. A lot of very interesting stuff. I got very scared when I saw the Skull Servant being linked off. I was like, oh my god, it's going to be Anima for the Rolkalos because I put it in a bad zone, but no. Thankfully for me, it does not end up being that. Gonna Baron pop the Minerva. That will proc it to mill 3, which does also proc the Shiren, but I'm just going to use Rolkalos here to negate that. Excuse me. So yeah, I flipped up Solic but didn't activate it. That way... Oh, that's right, but the card doesn't even, you know, go to the graveyard, so I don't even need to do it that way. I was going to use the Solic to send that off of Rolkalos's effect, but Rolkalos doesn't send a card from to the graveyard, I think, unless the card also gets destroyed, so... Yeah, after Baron is up to gain the Link Kuribo, that'll actually leave us with enough damage to swing in for lethal here, so... GG's Otaku, you played a very, very cool deck, and it's one that I actually playing against you made me want to play Skull Servant yet again myself. So again, we might actually see that at some point in the future. Who knows? But that'll be it for these duels. Thank you as always ever for watching. Let's move now to our outro. Hey everybody, thank you so much for watching all the way to the end of the video. That means a lot to me. It's also a great way to support the channel, so thank you very much in that way as well. If you're interested in supporting the channel in other ways, like the very special patrons that I am thanking here, you can do so by checking out some of the links in the description. One of those goes to the Patreon, where you can join these fine folk and support the channel that way. I do post daily content over on Patreon, so you do get something for support there. And if you're interested, I also have a coaching tier option as well. Details again will be on Patreon in the link below. Also in the description linked below is my Twitch page where I stream a few times a week. You can go ahead and check that out, follow or subscribe over there if you ever want to catch me live. You'll also find my second YouTube channel if you feel like subscribing over there to watch some of the Twitch VODs as well as some additional non-Yu-Gi-Oh related content that I make over there. Again, any of those links you want to check out is all a great way of supporting. But again, even if you don't do that, just watching was also a fantastic way to support. And once again, I have to thank you so very much. But in any case, this is Hexlex. I'm going to be signing out, and I'm hoping you have a fantastic day.